So, good morning to everybody. There's a few spaces left who are just joining us. My name is Clément Lessort. I'm an economic journalist and delighted and honored to welcome you and be with you for today, 22nd of September, which will be a key date in the energy and ecological transition. And it's a good decision you've made to join us for this inauguration of the first platform to produce renewable offshore hydrogen by Lhyfe. And this will be officially inaugurated in a few moments. And just a comment about simultaneous translation. And of course, for those of you here, please put your phones on silent mode. And this is also a moment to greet those of you who are following us on YouTube Live. A year ago, 30th of September, I believe, when we inaugurated another site, we had the region president who was there and who reminded us of his conviction about hydrogen. He was saying that the Pays de la Loire region needed to aim to be the first region, the leading region in producing and using hydrogen. And following on from that, he was of course keen to be with us today and take stock. Welcome. And of course, I wanted to excuse Christelle Morancet on this day, which is significant in a number of ways, because we also have the inauguration by the French president. Together, a range of skills in this world premiere, green hydrogen produced offshore at sea, and this is the start of a significant race to produce green hydrogen in large quantities. This consortium, a little similarly to the way that marine renewable energy has developed, is aiming to establish this power production on a huge mass production, which of course involves trainings and jobs surrounding this upscaling of the production of green hydrogen. The ecological transition obviously involves green hydrogen and youth, because a company like Lhyfe and its ecosystem will have an employer brand, and that will be attractive to all the work of. And now we also welcome another individual who is represented. Hi everybody, I'm delighted to be with you, and all the more so in that you have been with us, many of you have been with us for a long time now. So I say that you're my friends, whether you have an elected position or any other role. You are our friends from our foundation laying through to this world first today, which is to do with hydrogen and the large-scale production of hydrogen. But before talking about what we are doing in that respect here, I would like to talk to you about my holidays, because I went off to the south of France this summer for 3 weeks. Went camping with my two children, 2 and 5, and I went to the country, the hinterland behind Montpellier, and what we saw was absolutely terrible. I had a fun holiday, I enjoyed my time with my kids, was off-grid, but I've traveled extensively, and what I discovered was what I had seen previously in Africa, in Australia, dried up rivers, fires, wildfires. Here in the south of France, the world is burning. We are burning the planet, and this is dizzying, unacceptable. We have to do something as quickly as possible for my children, for your children, because the consequences of global warming today will have to be faced in the coming decades. We need to act now for that to have an impact in 2080, so that our children and grandchildren can also enjoy holidays in the south of France without wildfires and where there is water in the riverbeds. We're not talking about somewhere exotic, we're talking about here and now in France. What can be done? What can you do? Well, there's many things that can be done. Eat less meat, you can use hydrogen fuel cells in your car, reduce your energy use, become aware of all this and become aware of the different types of solutions: smart grids, renewables, biogas, wind power. It's not we have to get away from all these not in my backyard mentalities, thinking about the future of our children and grandchildren. We need to leave short-term thinking. My holidays, no, it's about what your children are going to be, what kind of world they're going to be living in. And in France, we have a great opportunity to have oceans. They produce half of the oxygen that we breathe and absorb 92% of global warming. What we see in the atmosphere is nothing compared to what the oceans are currently absorbing. Half of the carbon dioxide which is being issued. You've got tens of megawatts. They're the size of the Eiffel Tower. It can be far out into the sea, produces huge amounts of energy. The further away from the coast you go, the more energy is available. If you look at electricity, cannot be done by electricity, which is why we are currently dependent on fossil fuels, gas, oil, and we really are dependent. We are also dependent on imports, on producing countries who are run by madmen who can decide to turn on and off the taps as they wish. Before the Ukraine war, even in 2021, Putin started decreasing the amount of gas exporting, and even before the war in Ukraine, your gas bill had started going up, and the reason was that Putin has the price of electricity and gas in Europe in his hands. If you look at electricity and gas prices in 2021, it is unacceptable that we can be enslaved in that way when we have an opportunity to create jobs, to be fulfilled, to produce energy in an environmentally friendly way, and have our sovereignty, independence, and have our future in our hands. And this energy can lead to decarbonization of our industry and transport. Industry in Europe accounts for 20.
And feasible, everything is potentially interesting from in Europe or in the US. That has to be produced world first, floating electrolyzer. If you want to upscale really our production of hydrogen, we demonstrated that we can do that in the Vendée department, but tomorrow we can use the potential resources I talked about previously. Remember, 18 times the potential of production worldwide. We can use that potential resource so as to produce at a massive scale offshore hydrogen at sea. I was talking about the Russian gas previously. Please realize that with only 4% of the European maritime space, with 4% of that European maritime space, we can actually produce enough hydrogen to replace all the Russian gas supply, only 4% of the marine European areas. It has to be done. We are doing it, and we are doing it with our partners. We are doing it with the Grand Port, the harbor of Saint-Nazaire, this Eco-Central Engineering School with Gemtechno, Black Power, which was brave enough to meet that challenge, really, and to provide us with the electrolyzer, which is at the core, really, of this technology. So we are working with the Grand Port of Saint-Nazaire, the harbor of Saint-Nazaire, with the ADEME, as well as the French Energy Agency. We're working with our different partners as well. But before everything, we are working with our staff at Lhyfe. I am presenting today here in front of you, but they did it. They that great team. And of course, they have fun. We can create jobs. We can be happy. We can be green by doing this. Really, that is possible. I would like to tell you about the story of a few people. In particular, I would like to tell you the story of those of the people who did this platform and who will allow me to throw a bottle of champagne and to waste a bottle of champagne by throwing it to the hull of this platform. I would like to tell you the story of those people when I was in the south of France on holidays, actually did what had to be done under very extreme weather conditions because it was very hot, but they did the job really. They could have said, it's very hot, let's wait for the winter to work in the winter with cooler temperatures, but these people are aware of the challenges ahead of us, and those people, my staff, were working here on the quayside. They were actually implementing different technologies on the platform. They were craning different equipment. They were connecting equipment in very hot conditions. Remember all the heat waves, so we experienced this summer. We actually had in June 2 days of extreme temperatures, and we actually experienced extreme temperatures, but they were working during that time, and I can tell you that Stéphane, Andy, Hippolyte, Fabien, and Maxime, Etienne, Wave, Thomas, Baptiste, Marc, and Valérian do deserve a round of applause, really. Before you do that, I would like to introduce them to you. Benoit, can you please come to the stage, please? Thank you. Thank you, Marc. Thank you, Etienne. Thank you, Benoit. Thank you, Walid. Thank you, Fabien. Thank you, Walid. So these guys are Vikings. We are Vikings at Lhyfe. Please just imagine what had to be done, really, to set this platform up, to make it operational. Thank you to the overall teams who worked with us, and we were able to do that world first, that world premiere. If we can show, we can pave the way to other industries, that is only thanks to these very few people. And please imagine the motivations. I'm about really to cry when I see them, really, because they've been so brave, so dedicated to the work. So thank you very much, guys. A round of applause for you. You're brave. Thank you. I would like to thank everyone for attending this event. Thank you for being present. I would like to finish by saying that lots of people talk about hydrogen, but very few people are actually working and producing hydrogen. Lots of small or big industrial companies tell us that they are about to do things, but we are doing things, and that's what I do on a daily basis. We did that with Alain in Vendée. We worked very hard indeed. We are working tirelessly, and we work for our children, for the future generation. We are very happy to work in the evenings, at the weekend as well. Thank you very much for being there. Mathieu Guéné, founder and CEO of Lhyfe. Thank you, Mathieu, for your words. It was very moving, very emotional. That's a baptism as well. That's what you embody with all your teams as well. So it is now time to throw that baton to the helm of the platform, so to inaugurate officially the platform WebGem. So please now make your way to the platform so we can celebrate and inaugurate officially this platform that will be towed off to the shores of the Pacific in a couple of weeks. And then we shall have a roundtable and sign with our partners in a moment. Thank you.
Énergétique, on l'a bien compris, évidemment tout l'engagement, la détermination des équipes de Lhyfe au quotidien. On attend encore quelques instants, nos amis. Allez, venez nous rejoindre, partagez ce moment. Les équipes de Lhyfe sont pleinement mobiles, l'équipe de ceux qui ont travaillé effectivement avec acharnement, détermination tout au long de cet été notamment pour inaugurer cette plateforme Lhyfe. Aujourd'hui, ce jeudi 22 septembre, en direct de Saint-Nazaire, du quai des Frégates. Voilà, quelques photos encore. Voilà, Saint-Nazaire, capitale mondiale de la transition écologique et énergétique, aujourd'hui avec cet événement hors norme, exceptionnel. Inauguration de la plateforme Lhyfe. Voilà, encore quelques instants pour prendre les belles images qui vont bien. Les équipes de Mathieu qui sont à disposition, qui seront à disposition d'ailleurs tout au long de cette matinée pour vous accompagner, pour vous informer, continuer de vous informer, continuer de faire de la pédagogie évidemment sur ce projet. Voilà, c'est parfait. Merci beaucoup. Merci à toutes et à tous encore une fois. Je vous invite à regagner le Barnum pour qu'on puisse poursuivre nos échanges.
So we can resume now with our roundtable. So all the technical partners of Lhyfe are with us now. Please sit. So a few minutes, just please take a seat, and then we shall resume with our roundtable now. And after that, we can have a drink once we've finished. So please take a seat, and we shall resume with our roundtable with our technical partners. So let's continue. Cool partners, technical partners of Lhyfe. You can also listen to us on the YouTube channel of Lhyfe. Welcome to you who are joining us. So the consortium of partners who made that project possible are there today. Nicolas Arrivant, your CEO of FH Energy System Clemency Energy. Next to you is Bertrand Alexandri from Director of Development and Installation at the École Centrale Nantes. Jean-Luc Langeron, your CEO of Jextexno. And then Ulf Olfman, General Manager of Plug Power Electrolyzer Solutions. You have traveled quite a while to be with us today. And Thomas Krak, of course, Conor Krak is Technical Director at Lhyfe. So, in the wake of what Mathieu said, could you please tell us the very technical challenges that you were faced with and that has strengthened certainly the challenge, and it is a challenge of this offshore strategy you have at Lhyfe. You know, Mathieu said that in order to produce massively hydrogen to upscale production, we need to promote that energy which exists and which is more available offshore than onshore, and we had to prove it. We had to demonstrate that we were able to do it. That is the ambition of Lhyfe, to produce hydrogen at industrial scale today, not tomorrow, not in the future. So producing offshore has never been done before. Nobody has ever done that at sea. So there were indeed a few technical challenges being able to produce with renewable electricity. We demonstrated that with our first demonstrator in Vendée with 3 wind turbines that were connected. So we did demonstrate, we did show it was possible indeed to produce hydrogen purely with renewable electricity, to produce hydrogen with seawater. So we did show that was possible in the Vendée. The site in Vendée is now operational. It sells its electricity thanks. We continued the development with the OE, with the help of our German, so to desalinate the seawater, so to reduce maintenance operation, which of course are quite costly. In order to produce offshore hydrogen, we had to identify an electrolyzer that would be reliable, that would be efficient as well, but an electrolyzer with an optimized size, one of the important impact at the economic point of view is the size. So we did find Enel Power who were able to provide us with a suitable sized electrolyzer, and we made our partnership to develop our production at sea, and we can use all the developments for our offshore applications. So in order to produce offshore hydrogen, we also had to work on all the environmental issues. We are, of course, under huge constraints coming from the sea. The barge that you can see is subject to huge motions, to huge acceleration from 0 to 5 Gs of acceleration. So it's a very aggressive condition. So we were able to meet those technical challenges, and now we are able to roll out, to deploy these technical solutions on all our infrastructure onshore, but also offshore at sea. And we must be able to control remotely the site. The site is located 20 kilometers away off the coast, so we develop our operational systems so as to control remotely all the sites, to control all the characteristics, to control and to monitor the hydrogen production according to environment in which we are. And the last aspect, which is not talked about very much, is the permitting aspect, the legal and regulatory aspect. Once again, this had never been done, so the permitting, authorization, consenting is essential, and we're able to do that. All these technical challenges were met in less than 18 months. We are very proud to be able to say that we did the job, and we are now ready to deploy this technology at a wider scale. Alain, this technology, of course, can be used abroad in other countries. You have developed partnerships with the port of Saint-Nazaire, the harbor of Saint-Nazaire. It is also very locally rooted. So thus, of course, our region has all the assets to be successful in the development of offshore technologies.
Yes, we're keen to go fast, and in Pays de la Loire we found a region that has supported us for some time to help us to roll out. We have found a port, a major port, that was able to host us to carry out integration of the hydrogen production facility on this barge. We've also found a test site with existing infrastructures, floating wind turbine barges, an electrical hub to identified technical partners with expertise. Centrale Graduate School, which operates this offshore testing ground. Fed Energy, which is also supporting us. Jeff Techno, of course, which has had the experience of the offshore barge, which supported us to integrate our equipment on the platform Atlantique, a key stakeholder in offshore wind power now, with whom we are continuing to move forward for upscaling and mass deployment. And we'll come back to that in a moment with this whole upscaling aspect. But as we've just heard, it's interesting to hear about the origins of the project and how Plug Power got involved with this whole undertaking and what made you join forces with them. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for what Thomas already said. Plug Power, as you may know, have just bought this electrolyzer technology some 2 years ago. This technology has existed for some 40 years in the United States, used by NASA and in submarines. Hydrogen and oxygen are important for them, so we are confident in the technology. And just after having joined this group, we developed the relationship with Lhyfe, and basically what we want to do, and I think Mathieu referred to this already, is to change the speed at which green hydrogen is being developed worldwide through applications which can serve those, for example, with hydrogen-powered vehicles, and we need more applications ultimately. Another important aspect is that Plug and Lhyfe have grasped the fact that we need to work together, we need to have a climate of mutual respect and trust, that both parties will operate appropriately and develop skills. For our part, at Plug recently, 1 year ago, we've taken on offshore skills, enabling us to work with Lhyfe and its people. We've joined an organization, Frames, a year ago. People there have been working very closely with Thomas's people on development. So what's important for us is that the electrolyzer technology is there with the stack and everything that goes with it, but also the application work sites where we're going to be going to install electrolyzers. And you talked to me about waves, water, and now we have an electrolyzer which is land-based, in a rather calmer environment, but now we've moved on to ask our people to imagine waves 15 meters high and put an electrolyzer in the middle of them. And that is a huge challenge which we have risen to together. Ole, what attracted you to the project, the people, Lhyfe? It's an important question, I think. What makes this project stand out? Yeah, I think what is important is to have similar shared values and aims, and as you've heard from Mathieu, and I don't know if you've heard of Andy, that at the end of the day they're saying much the same thing. And I think this alignment is an important factor, and also the passion of the people involved, which we see at Lhyfe. And at the end of the day, it's about having confidence that we will be able to solve the problems. If somebody tells you today that you're going to install an electrolyzer offshore, everyone says yes, of course, but 2 years ago nobody would have said that. And we've seen how Lhyfe's ambitions and passion have brought them forward, and we love this pragmatism and passion. So for JEPS Techno, there's this, can tell us about how you came along, Jean-Luc Langroche. How did you, with JEPS Techno, come to join on forces with this project? It really is a great meeting. JEPS Techno people used to come to us and suggest offshore challenges to us, going and doing the impossible all over the world to deploy energy and data. And a few months ago, we decided to position ourselves as a marine innovation lab and a sustainable innovation lab. We see these needs arriving, and so the Bretagne Atlantique Hub and Centrale Nantes and Lhyfe were among those who rose up to this challenge. It was a bit like a ride-sharing scheme. Somebody wanted to go somewhere, they had a bit of room in the car, and so we all got on board. In terms of our aspirations, the interest in the particular technology and wanting the taste for the challenge, we quickly found common ground. Of course, we have a lot of other things to do on this platform, so it was a good opportunity for us as well. And we discovered hydrogen technology through Lhyfe. We saw many more benefits of hydrogen. This isn't massive hydrogen production as yet, but we are amongst the best specialists of autonomy at sea and those kind of things. That's where we're specialized, and where you have to produce energy production, energy storage, energy use, and communication. Hydrogen offers us an additional technology building block in respect of all those challenges, and Sea Life is also of interest to us because of that. It's a good demonstration of what can be done at sea, and we have some ideas for how other applications could emerge. So you onboarded. Tell us about this technology showcase for JEPS. The proof that it's possible, the proof that extreme conditions are not a problem. Yes, Thomas and Ole have explained clearly that It's easy to say we'll go and produce hydrogen offshore, but all of the people at Lhyfe, Plug Power, Jet Techno, those people had to find working compromises, dimension the work so that everything went according to schedule and everybody met their goals. Goals could differ slightly between the stakeholders. There's a wave-powered energy production system on board. Electrolyzers don't like the fact that when you move more, it works better. So we had to find an engineering compromise there to produce energy, produce hydrogen offshore on this platform that was self-powered by wave power. So let's move on to Bertrand Alessandri from Centrale Nantes Graduate School, a technical partner. This partnership goes back a long way. There was a vision, a pioneering vision from 2005. Tell us about how, through that vision, you became part of this story. As you will have all understood, the device which we have seen today is not supposed to stay on the quayside. That's for the initial tests, but in a few months' time, we will be moving offshore to the Saint-Nazaire site, which is under Centrale Nantes auspices since 2005. Fortunately, we didn't wait for this prototype that we have today to put that in place. Now we have a project for, we haven't waited for this before created this offshore site. If we had waited, we would be waiting another 5 years, and it would be a world last, not a world first, as it is today. So we needed this vision as researchers, foresight, engineering foresight, and all our partners, be they institutional, such as the region providing funding, or others, had this vision, which was incarnated in 2005, embodied in 2005, and going forward, we've been able to build this experimental offshore site with electrical hookup, fiber optics to transfer data, a measurement system, and the people who are able to maintain it. And this offshore test site is now hosting prototypes of how energy can be recovered and produced. Second link, which I could mention, is that electricity is required for this machine to be powered, and this will not be provided by the grid, but from the first prototype that we ever installed on the site, Flogen, in 2018. Our partners are here today. This was not a world first. We almost had a world first, but we were slightly too late. We were one of the first floating wind turbines to be installed in the world, and that wasn't a world first, but I think we're going to have a world first with the Lhyfe project by connecting these two flagship projects on the Saint-Nazaire sites, the floating electrolyzer and the floating wind turbine. 2005, back in the day, we weren't talking much about offshore energy. What has been the step change there, and what are the challenges? Do we have the ecosystem required? I think we do. We have this huge potential to address and step up to this huge transition challenge. In Pays de la Loire region, we have been forerunners, and we are now reaping the benefits of having had this collective foresight. There's the region, but also national government, the European Union, as well as industrial partners who have worked with us over the past 15, 20 years. In this region, we have held a firm conviction, cross-party conviction, that marine energy is important, and we see that we are now reaping the benefits of having had this foresight, this collective foresight over the last 15, 20 years. So moving on to another partner, Eiffage Energy System Clemency Service. We're right next to their offices today, and so 450 people working in the area on all types of vessels, specializing on complex projects such as this one. Tell us about how you got involved and how, to what extent, what's the scope of your involvement, Nicolas Andrivon. Eiffage is often referred to as the builders of the Millau viaduct or the high-speed train lines, but Eiffage also was involved with the Eiffel Tower back in the days. Also Clemency Service, Smulders, other businesses, service businesses for onshore, offshore, and everything to do with energy transition. And as Mathieu was saying earlier about those who do the thinking and those who do the doing, well, Eiffage are definitely amongst the doers. And we were, for instance, we are the Europe's leading installer of solar panels. We operate some hydropower facilities, European leader of offshore foundations for those, for example, that are built here at Saint-Nazaire. So for the wind farm towers, we are very engaged in the ecological transition well before 2005, in fact. With the hydroelectric power stations that we operate are, of course, much older than that. For this particular project, we used our skills of pipe work, metal work, mechanical engineering. We were adapting something into something totally new that had never existed before, and so our local skills were fully mobilized. And also the infrastructure facilities that we have, and also the human competencies to find boiler workers, metal workers, mechanics. This is quite a challenge. Not many people know that here we founded a technical training college for welders, mechanics, pipe workers, several hundred people here and near Lyon for our work in France and internationally for our technical jobs to turn this outline into a practical project. So all these excellence tracks that you have, these jobs which are still hard to find. So tell us about the construction process and dialogue, the relationships. Tell us about your difficulties, or perhaps tell us how easy it was. Well, it was very easy. When I concluded this agreement, I was a bit worried a few months ago, frankly, but in actual fact, well, up to the clients to say, but I think it was extremely streamlined, very few changes, major changes, a lot of additions though, new ideas, things that came up as we went along. I would say that when you commit to this type of undertaking, you need to be flexible. Even if you're a multinational, you're working with SMEs, and there's an important. It's important to be flexible. We saw how the team got together, and how enthusiastic they were, and being able to plug into this great dialogue between us, which enables us to align the technical constraints with ideas and dreams. That is a challenge. Fortunately, so there was an offshore platform that we built in Fos-sur-Mer, which used skills from Saint-Nazaire for pipe work and so forth. We learned from Total and fossil fuels how to manage complex offshore projects, and having this historic expertise and know-how that we can now quickly find solutions on this type of project in France. We are one of the leaders of how to leverage skills all over France. Ole Hoffman, Nicolas has plugged what is possible in terms of working together here and in terms of our technical abilities. Tell us about what is going on internationally. If we benchmark this with what's going on in US, you're from California, Denmark, how are they doing on this type of issue? What is interesting, and again, I think this project has shown us that we can do it. Yes, we can. Mathieu also mentioned those who talk and those who do, and here you have a lot of people who do the stuff. At present, we have another project developing a project, a 1 gigawatt project in Denmark. I think it's important to look at what is going on elsewhere and also progress them. At the end of the day, it's the same technology that you see here. The challenges that have been raised here are the same that we have with the other electrolyzer. What is important is that whether it's where you have offshore turbines and electricity needs to come onshore, or green hydrogen, or other projects 20 or 50 kilometers offshore, 250, 300 megawatts, as mentioned by Thomas and Mathieu before. For those type of projects, we see that's one kind of thing. But here we have small projects, but acceleration in particular when it comes to wind turbines and green hydrogen.
So it is a disruptive project, isn't it? Do you think you can take on board major companies, big actors in this industry? Can you really be disruptive? Mathieu mentioned the climate emergency, you know. I hope so, indeed. I've been working in this industry for a couple of years, and some people take more time, really. But what is important, really, that's so-called beacon projects, things that can actually change the world, really, and that can provide an impetus, provide a change, increase the speed with which people would engage and commit to this change. These projects are working, they are operational. You will have to make choices in terms of technology, in terms of storage, batteries. Which choices will you make? Very often the final choice is made by the client. Today, the issues we are faced with is that clients ask us for specific applications, so we can provide them with different solutions or applications, i.e. we can provide them with batteries, so batteries plus hydrogen, and sometimes battery and hydrogen plus a diesel engine. We must accept that even though we must act quickly, our clients are not always ready to act quickly as well, and maybe they will be reassured to have on site an additional diesel engine just for reassurance, really. So we must be versatile, we must combine different elements, bricks, and convince our clients that is what is essential. You know, if you had to choose between a nice 100% green project that will never come to life and another one which is maybe a 50% green, of course it's much better to choose the latter one. So we're working on small projects, not massive ones. We're working on small to medium-sized projects, but which can be easily replicated. Of course, as you know, small streams make big rivers, and we can play our parts in the energy transition. We know that, you know, whether we can do the best at the best pace, speed, and I think we are doing it. And in the Pays de la Loire region, we are doing this. And let me take the example of, I mean, in a year's time, we shall start new work so as to install the second floating turbine prototype, a very innovative one, which will be next to the floodgen wind turbine. It will have a 3 times more important capacity. We'll have a big-sized floating platform, which will be able to host projects such as Lhyfe or other hydrogen production projects, which can be originate from competitors. And on this small square kilometer at sea, I'm saying a small square meter at sea, of course, with the we shall multiply and have more similar projects, and we shall do that in And of course, we shall promote that idea of the offshore testing test, and hopefully we will have more offshore testing sites elsewhere off the coast of France in the Mediterranean Sea, for instance. Of course, upscaling is essential. The commitment on the long term also is essential today. Can you tell us that the 450 staff here in Saint-Nazaire in FH will strengthen, consolidate the partnerships so as to upscale the production so we can move really forward? Of course, there are different challenges ahead of us. First of all, the skills. It's very difficult to train people, to hire people. Onshore, offshore is a challenge. There are lots of onshore projects, especially when it comes to the hydrogen. We are working in Belfort and in northern part of France project. We've got lots of requests. We have an exponential growth for the nuclear industry. I also mentioned the hydroelectricity. So there are indeed needs, and we must make choices with regard to different requests from our clients. And of course, climate change is, of course, at the core of this problem. We could have talked about energy efficiency of our plants in France, deforestation, and so on. All these challenges, of course, are on top of the list in the media, but they actually lead to very practical requests from our clients. Of course, when it comes to engineering, we need dreamers, but we also need doers, people who actually manufactures, create things, really. So we must actually reach the end of the value chain, really. We must promote our know-hows, our industrial know-how. We must be able to be inspirational for the future generation, the children of Mathieu, of course. They must be eager to learn about our technology. That is what is at stake. We must communicate and re-communicate. So, communication is about repeating, really, and passing on key messages, and that's what we want to do. Okay, the dreamers, the doers, the people who actually create stuff, really, who do things. In order to finish now and to conclude, what are the key the steps are ahead of us? 3 gigawatts, it is an objective by 2030. How can we actually reach that objective in the next few weeks or months at Lhyfe? What will you do? Of course, that demonstrator is only a step, really. We had to show that we were able to do that. We can actually meet the technical challenges and provide responses, and we can work with our partners. That's what we did, and that's what we are actually showcasing now. We can actually produce hydrogen at sea. On top of this, really, we are very busy. We are also working on our ability to produce at a massive scale, to develop the upscaling of the production of hydrogen at sea. So we are working with the Chantier de l'Atlantique here in Saint-Nazaire. We've developed offshore hydrogen platform, which will produce at least 50 tons of hydrogen per day, and that will be actually manufactured here in our region. So we have other projects. We are working with a company called Bore Drilling to reuse oil and gas elements and engineering skills. So we are able now to develop and to manufacture fixed, bottom fixed, but also floating technology. So we are ready indeed, and that other initiatives exist. And already you mentioned Repower Europe, aiming at providing an independence in terms of energy, 20 million tons by 2030. There exist initiatives, cross-border initiatives between Germany and Denmark, which are working jointly on this aspect. There are different calls for tenders that are coming up in Germany by the end of the year. In Denmark, there shall be also other calls for tenders. So things are changing with a different pace, really, now. So we are really at the right place in the good times. We are the sole ones who did show that we can do that. We shall respond to the call for tenders in order to deploy, to roll out by 2030, 2035, 3 gigawatts megawatt at sea. Now, this is the roadmap for the different teams at Lhyfe. Thomas, Ole, Jean-Luc, Bertrand, and Nicolas, thank you very much. We can give them a round of applause, really, because they do embody the commitment and the technologies we've been talking about today, and this consortium actually led to the creation of that great platform. So thank you very much for being with us today on Thursday, 22nd of September, live from Saint-Nazaire. We can continue to talk afterwards. A word of conclusion, maybe, Thomas. I want to thank once again our partners. We shall continue to work hard for our children, as Mathieu said, and we shall continue to support this initiative, to promote these initiatives and those technologies. But we are very proud to engage all these stakeholders, all our partners, and to work together, because only by working together we can be successful. So I want indeed to thank you for helping us to do that project. I want to also thank the audience for being with us today and to be committed and interested by these technologies. Let's celebrate this world first. That was Thomas. Thank you very much. Just stay on stage, or we shall take a picture now. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Sessions for journalists, you can stay here. Our friends are present and they will answer their questions tomorrow. Okay, thank you.